just want to get right into
Okay.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay. Baldur's Gate 3.
Specifically, I have an actual goal. What I want to understand is
Okay.
I want to know if I was going to invest the time to start playing,
Right.
what would that look like? Like, how much does the game cost? Like, is there a specific version that I should be getting? You know what I'm saying? Like, because when it comes to a game, they've got like Game of the Year version. They've
Mhm.
got like there's different types.
Yeah.
So, is there one specifically that I should be getting? Is there like a DLC bundle? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand. What do I need to start playing today?
So, Larian Studios, people who developed Baldur's Gate, small indie company, by the way, they do not have a big publisher.
Mm.
Baldur's Gate is technically an indie game. Um, it is a, it is just a one and done release. There's no like Game of the Year editions with like DLCs. They do have a collector's edition and like an like ultimate edition. I'm forgetting the exact word. There's the collector's edition and then like the ultimate edition. The only differences are that the collector's edition came with like a couple digital in-game items that you could only get when the game initially released, and usually like physical props. Like
Okay.
that's what I bought, and I got like a little statue at home that falls over constantly because that's the first like one I've ever gotten. I probably installed it incorrectly.
Mm.
But then there's the digital deluxe, which is literally just in-game items that don't really help you at all, but they're just Easter eggs, like Easter egg items to their last game. They're like all the companions in the previous game all had like a notable item about them,
Mm.
and it just gives you like a bag with those items.
Okay. Is that
Um,
like pricier?
um, I think it was like slightly pricier, but it was also it's like if you've never played Divinity Original Sin 2, there's no reason to get it. Like,
Oh,
and even
wait,
if you
Divinity
have,
Original Sin 2, that's the first Baldur's Gate?
no. So Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 were made by BioWare, the people who made Mass Effect and Dragon Age.
Okay.
That was made like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Divinity Original Sin and Divinity Original Sin 2 are two games made by Larian Studios before Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay.
They are top down like RPG games,
Hmm.
but they work on their own like rules and like their own like combat system and stuff. It doesn't play like Baldur's Gate because Baldur's Gate uses D&D 5e as its like system and combat and like
Okay.
talking and all that stuff. But in order like to get the game, they would be just like yeah, a $60 purchase and you would get everything like the last year and like couple months of updates that they've put through the game. It's all free. No DLC. I would buy it if there was. There is none. Yeah, you could just like pick it up and then you'd have a lot of hours if you ever wanted to complete the game.
I got you. So, what specs would I be looking for as far as my computer? Like better on a laptop, desktop? Is it is it on not just PC, but like is it on game consoles and stuff?
Yes, it came
Okay.
to when it initially came out. I think it took a month or two to come to PlayStation, and then it took an additional month or two to come to Xbox because they were trying to
Mm.
find like a good like balance, I think, with the settings for the game. Um, you can get it on console. For specs on PC, I would recommend a desktop. You don't need like a very powerful computer. Like you could probably play it on a laptop. Um, but in terms of me who really likes the game and would like for you to have the best experience, I would recommend a decently like powerful PC.
Okay.
Um, because I've seen people play it on console and the control scheme I just disgusts me. But I don't understand how someone plays a game like that on controller, but like if
Because
you
there's a
experience the game,
all right. So when you're talking about like that, like for example, Witcher 3 is kind of like that. Where Witcher 3, when I first played it on the PlayStation 4, it looks like a PC game. Is
hmm.
that similar to how?
Yes, I never I own Witcher 3 on PC and I've played it a little bit, but I played 97% of my time on console. Because I experienced it there first, I learned like how it played on console and I was
Mm,
like more comfortable with that.
yeah.
I would say that Baldur's Gate is kind of similar in how they transitioned like controls,
Mm.
but I still think it's like a little ill. Like on Witcher, like when you're in combat, when you summon your signs, it would be like a wheel.
Hmm.
And while that definitely works for console, um, I imagine it's just like a keybind. It's like
You just
you'd have your 5 spells like on 5 keys,
mm,
and you wouldn't be like wheeling it
yeah.
in the middle of combat like you would on PC. So in that
Okay.
sense, I think it's better on PC. But
Yeah. No, I
yeah,
definitely get that. I get that.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing is that like I've always wanted to be a gamer, kind of. Like I respected like that culture, like of like being able to just sit down and invest time in a game and like that be enough.
Hmm.
But I just have a hard time like justifying that time, I guess. I don't know. It's just like I don't enjoy it as much. Like I'd rather just zone out and like watch a movie or something like that. But I try to invest a little bit of time in gaming. I don't know. It's just tough. Like it for someone like me, we've talked a little bit about like other games as well. Like tell me about like Factorio and the one that Cookout? Cook Off?
Overcooked.
Overcooked, dude. I cannot believe I still do not remember the name of this game. But that's one
It's
that I want to play with Zoe.
it's a fun little game. Overcooked for sure. Like it can be a little challenging once you get to like the later levels because they kind of I prefer Overcooked 1 over Overcooked 2 for this reason. In
Oh.
Overcooked 2, it feels like the difficulty they add to the game is arbitrary.
Mm.
Like in Overcooked 1, they might split up the chefs. So instead of being able to have full control of the kitchen, you have to you're forced to delegate tasks to each person. In Overcooked 2, it's like, oh, you have full access to the kitchen, but maybe half your kitchen is going to be separated on 2 different buses that separate at any given time. So it feels weird in Overcooked 2. Like the difficulty, they just I don't like how they did it. In Overcooked 1, if you play the game, if you get the game play was I recommend doing 1 because it's more sensible. In the later missions, like they might shake it up by having like you cook on a ship.
Hmm.
Um and every so often the whole kitchen will shift just to like flip it around a little bit, and if
Yeah.
you're not ready for that you'll be like forced to run all the way around the kitchen to get back in.
Mm.
But yeah, no, for Overcooked, yeah, no, that's a really little fun game where you essentially just do a job, just make food.
Which is hilarious the way that you say that. It's like it's just doing a
It's just a
job.
job, yeah. It's fun, but
And that's how Stardew Valley is, right?
yes.
It's the job, like it's the routine. And you say that you enjoy that aspect of it, huh?
Yeah, it's some people I've never met someone in real life who claims this, but apparently there are people out there who do just enjoy Stardew. They don't get stressed out about anything. It's just happy go lucky, and they probably play really inefficiently. When I play and when a lot of other people play, we have in our mind like, okay, we have to go to the store to buy seeds, but that's going to take in game, that's going to take a couple hours out of our day to probably go do that. So maybe we also go and give a couple gifts to a couple people along the way while we wait for the store to open. But there's also crops we got to water maybe in the morning. I don't know. Maybe we could go get a fish because there's certain types of fish that are only available at certain times of the day, certain types of seasons. So maybe you only have like the first 6 hours of the day to get this fish. So you got to like plan out your day. Um,
Mm.
and that's all also based on like the weather. You can try and plan out your whole week, and then you learn the day before that it's gonna rain the next day, and it's like, oh man, there's like one fish I really need on a rainy day. So it's like, yeah, it's stressful fun in that you have a bunch of tasks that you want to complete. You don't need like you can make your own tasks and you can do your own thing because the game's pretty like open about that.
Mm.
But how personally when I go against that I'm trying to make every second count and
Mm.
it's really stressful sometimes. I don't know. But you might like it, yeah. You
Yeah.
might like it.
I got you. Yeah, yeah. That's the thing is that like Becca likes playing games. She's into right now she likes I don't even know what game she's currently playing. Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. She played Red Dead Redemption 2 and just finished it. Like she played it nonstop until it was like done. And it's a pretty long game. Like she played a lot of the side quests and stuff. I think she got close to 100% complete, if not got it. Like
Nice.
invested time. I don't like I just it's just interesting. I don't know. I wish that I had that gene to just like keep going. I played the Ark with her, the Ark survival game. And she likes dinosaurs. I like fighting stuff. She likes creating. So like it's a nice mixture. Like we get to play two player, so it's cool. And it glitched. It made me her. So she had her own character twice,
Hmm.
and we could see my original avatar. He was just like laying on the ground, like frozen,
Disconnected.
essentially. Yeah. So I'm just like, all right, whatever, and we just kept playing. But I like games with direction. We played Borderlands 1, 2, and 3, and it has a co-op that you can
Yeah.
actually like play the storyline. I like playing games like that with her. Any recommendations as far as like games that are like co-op? I know Band of not Band of Brothers. Army of Two.
I used to love Army of Two when I
Yeah.
was not the appropriate age to like it. I remember loving it. Um, Army of Two is a great one. When you say games to play together, do they need to be like fighting focused or
No. No, I'm cool for any. She really likes puzzles. I suck at puzzles. Not my thing, but she likes it.
Alex at work?
Hmm.
He really loves like I believe it's him. I really hope I'm not mixing up him and Nick's interests, but I believe it's Alex. He really likes playing co-op games, like two-player, like story-driven co-op games.
Yeah.
I have to look up the names. There's a couple games I could recommend later, but they're really like story-driven games, generally with puzzles.
Hmm.
But like Portal 2, for example, have you played
Yeah,
Portal 2?
yeah, yeah. Portal 2 for sure.
Yeah. I like they're just like two-player games. You have to fix a lot of puzzles, so you otherwise have a driven story. There's a prison game. Can't remember where it's like you're two dudes who are trying to escape prison together. I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But then there's also another game where your daughter in the game was, I think, getting depressed. Personally, never played it,
Okay.
but she was getting depressed, so she makes a wish that I think her parents will like get along, and it turns the parents into like really small dolls, and they have to like work together to get back to their daughter to convince her to like undo the wish.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I've
It
never
is.
even heard of that game. Is that like a smaller game or like am I
Uh,
just super out of the loop?
it was like in terms of like production, it was like I think an indie game, but when it came out, I think it was like nominated for a couple things. Um, yeah, like it came out probably like 3 years ago, if I had to take a wild guess.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've not played any games in like 3 years. I think Assassin's Creed is the only game. I remember I told you I played Cyberpunk and I literally did like got to the first like mission and just turned it off and just have not played it since.
It's possible you just also haven't found like like I guess the I don't know the world like the to get interested in like Cyberpunk for
Yeah.
example. I also couldn't really get into. I like Cyberpunk Red,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the game itself, I'm not like much of a futuristic guy.
Yeah. Mm,
I much prefer like The Witcher 3,
gotcha. Like
made by
that
the
like
same
a
people. But yeah,
old historian
just
kind
like
of like games.
fantasy and like magic rules. With Witcher 3, it's like hard fantasy, so like you don't like have wizards like casting fireball every other
Hmm.
second or something like that. But I also like that because with more rules, it feels like the world's more grounded.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, like I prefer Witcher 3, so it's possible. I mean, you have played Witcher 3. Yeah,
Yeah.
you said.
And
You said you got like
I
what
like
halfway through the
Skyrim.
game or almost halfway?
I don't know. I feel I got pretty far. Like I feel like I did a good amount of time in it. I just that was like at the peak of me doing Omni though, so like I did not have a chance.
Witcher 3 is a really long game. Like you'll get to what you feel like is like coming up in the climax and it's like, "Oh no, this is like the midway point." Which I liked because that's the moment where you got to spend a lot more time around like characters that you might really enjoy.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. If you ever get into Baldur's Gate, try to finish your first campaign. Don't get tempted to restart and try a new like play style.
Hmm.
Because there are people who essentially boast, or at the very least, are like, haha, look at me. I've spent like 2,000 hours on this game and I've never beaten it. And it's like, you guys,
That's
like,
not a good thing.
it's like, look, I get it. I get it. You hit a point and you're like, wow, I'd really like to try like a different way to play the game.
Mm.
But I also like kind of the elitism in me is just like, look,
Play
like
to
you need to
finish.
beat the game. You need to beat the game. This is like I get it. You hit Act 3 and it's just like you just get hit with like a wave of I have so much to do now,
Mm.
and it hurts. I remember I took like a break off the game the last time I got to Act 3, but
Yeah,
yeah, I took like a 1 week break where I just didn't play it. Felt like forever, but yeah, no, I don't know.
I gotcha. And then as far as TV, we've talked a little bit about Arcane
Mhm.
and the new season that just came out.
Yep.
Like, what you got? Like, what are some teasers? I don't know, like, how detailed you want to go, because I haven't seen it yet. I have seen all of the first season, and I did like Arcane.
Yeah.
I haven't invested the time to watch the second one yet. But would you say it's worth watching? Like, first off,
I would definitely say it's worth watching. I probably enjoyed it a little bit less than season 1,
okay.
but that's partly because season 1 is like a really personal story between like two sisters and a couple of adopting dads. Um, season 2, it takes like the plot kind of starts off like when the season was originally having trailers for it. Like a lot of the trailers were pushing the continuation of the personalized story between the two sisters,
Hmm.
but the season overall takes like a wide view, I guess. Like it becomes like a lot more large scaled
Oh,
in terms
okay.
of things that are happening.
Yeah.
So I would definitely recommend it. Um, and there are some aspects of it that like. There are some like parts of season 2 that I love a lot. Uh, like a lot more than season 1. But um, yeah, I don't know. Like season 1, it definitely feels a little more complete. Season 2, like they had to cut out some stuff, which makes a few things feel rushed. And if
Mm.
you watch season 2, I wouldn't blame you if you feel like it should have been split into 2 seasons
Oh,
because
okay.
it probably should have been.
Like, they cover a lot of information, kind of thing, or just.
It feels like a lot of events happen really quickly,
Mm.
and while it doesn't feel like they're disconnected, it does feel like you probably should have seen like one or two scenes on top of what you saw
Mm.
that kind of like I don't know, connected a little bit more. Like there's towards like the end of season 2, there's probably like a huge hole where there should have been like two characters interacting with each other for like at least 30 minutes. Like because there's one scene where you see them together, then the next scene they're like there's a lot of progression here that I feel like should have been shown on screen.
Gotcha. And
But yeah.
then the original, or I should say, like the first season, they go really detailed into people's kind of like storylines, which I
Mhm.
really like. I like the individual storylines
Yeah.
because it makes the world building a little bit more like real.
Mhm.
Um, do they include a good amount of new characters, or is it just that same core group in the second season?
Um, there is still the core group, but they a couple of the characters that were introduced maybe a little later into season 1 take more of a center role in the story. And there's like one character that you see in season 1. I don't think they ever say his League of Legends name
Mhm.
out loud. His name in game is Singed.
Singed?
Singed. He's like one of the oldest characters in the
Was he
game.
burned?
I mean, he is like I don't know if that's related to his name, but yeah, he's the guy who got like scars across his face.
Okay, yeah.
He takes a more important role,
Hmm.
and there are like a couple new or returning characters from season 1 that do take more of a center stage. Um, thinking on just completely new characters, there are a couple completely new characters that do take like big roles in the season 2 of Arcane. But yeah, no, I would fully recommend it. And probably watch it in the way they released it, where maybe like 3 episodes at a time, like 3 hours at worst. I don't know if they go like a full hour though.
Is it like the arcs are in 3 episode increments kind of thing?
Yes, like at least the first 3 episodes, definitely. Um, like last 6 episodes, you probably watch in one because the gap from episode 6 to episode 7 isn't like as big.
Mm.
There's like a kind of clear separation between 3 and 4, in terms of like a time skip, but yeah, 6 and 7 not so much. So you could probably watch like the first 3 episodes in one sitting, and if you're feeling crazy, watch the last 6 episodes in one sitting.
Yeah.
But that would be like 5 of sitting on the couch. So I wouldn't blame you if you don't.
I gotcha. And then so it covers the League of Legend characters, right? And then
Yes.
the League of Legend characters, they are the actual characters from the video game.
Yeah.
How closely represented are they? Like, did you notice? 'Cause I know you're not huge in the League of Legends world, right? But like, how close were they at like depicting who they are on video games?
So the show definitely what is it? Retconned a bunch of stuff.
Oh, okay. Did they?
That's partly because over like the 10 to however many years League's been out, they kind of breadcrumb lore. But there are some characters in League of Legends that have been out for like over 8 years that have almost nothing said about them. Like,
Just thrown
yeah,
like
they're
out
like
there.
they have like a page of text, and that is the extent of the lore and their like
Mm-hmm.
place in the universe for like the last like 8 years that they've been out. So like there were like, for example, in League of Legends originally, um based on character man, I can't believe I'm losing this. Based on like what characters would say to each other whenever they'd be in the same game, uh the implication was that Vi had no idea who Jinx was,
Mm.
but Jinx might have known Vi was her sister. Um and then there's like, for example, Singed, like it's not like he is responsible for creating a lot of terrible stuff in Zon. Um,
I don't know
and
what Zon is.
well, Zon it's Piltover and Zon. It's the two like
Cities?
nations,
Okay, yeah,
cities.
yeah, gotcha.
In Zon, like the poorer one, he
Okay.
is responsible for creating like 8 or 9 champions in the game. Like there are a lot of freaks of nature that he has had a hand in creating. Um, and that's kind of represented in the game. Oh, sorry, kind of represented in the show. They give him more personality because in the game he just looks silly, and it like they haven't updated his graphics, so he's still walking around with like the same animations he had when he came out. Like it doesn't look great when compared to like newer characters.
Yeah.
They have though they released would be kind of a spoiler, so I'm not gonna say it. They
Now I want to know.
released
Just say
no, okay. They released Ambessa.
it. I don't even know who
It was
that is.
the mom, like the older mom that showed up in season 1, Mel's mom. Like she showed up from Noxus, like she has like scars all over her, and she just
Oh
shows
yes,
up
I
as
do know what
like
you're
a
talking about. Yep,
powerhouse of
yep, yep, yep.
authority.
That's at the end of the season.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
She is in season 2 more.
Oh, okay.
They made her a champion like I think it was when season 2 was first aired. And then they made Mel recently, very recently, they made her a champion. So they are both in the game. Why Mel is a champion is a season 2 spoiler that I won't spoil.
Very well.
But yes,
Question: What is a champion?
a champion.
Like playable character?
Yes, it's
Okay.
a League of Legends. I could refer to them as legends. But in game, I think like the term is champions. It's just like all the playable characters that you can
Mm.
select when you want to play a game. Yeah, they are both made legends in the League of Legends. That you can play. Mel think came out like a month ago. They released a cinematic that on top of showing the continuation of her story, also might be hinting at the next like nation that they have a show for.
Mm.
And showing like a couple of the characters from the game in the video. After you watch season 2, I definitely want to show you that because it's kind of
All right.
but yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely plan on it. Like I said, I did like the first season. I just, time,
Time.
that tricky gal.
Hmm.
But no, it's definitely on my radar. And then what other like stuff is out there like worth investing time in?
Well, I mean, you watched a couple episodes of Secret Levels. Um,
Yes, I did. Yeah, yeah, with
I'm
Becca.
yeah, I'm fully anticipating the new Warhammer show. I anticipate that will be really good.
Is Henry Cavill in that one?
Henry
It's that
Cavill is
one.
in it. He takes lore pretty seriously. So and the thing is too is the people who own the IP, I think they're called Games Workshop. people who own the Warhammer IP also take lore very seriously. Um, so if they're both working together, I imagine whatever ends up coming out is both going to look great, and it's going to be very accurate to what a lot of people love. So that's really exciting. Hopefully they fight. I think, man, I'm embarrassed because I just forgot their name. Nekrids or something like that. It's
Yeah, I've
like,
heard
yeah,
them.
yeah. It's hopefully they fight them. When they released like the most recent game, Warhammer Space Marine 2. I'm my brain right now.
Yeah, I mean it's
Space Marine
late.
2.
No
Yeah,
worries.
no,
It's
it is.
that
Yeah,
brain fog is heavy.
yeah. When they released Space Marine 2, I remember like they made decisions that, in my opinion, made the gameplay worse to
Oh.
adhere to like rules and like the lore and stuff like that, which personally kind of made me stop playing the game. But I do think it's cool that uh they take keeping like the story accurate and keeping like the rules set so seriously,
Mm.
especially when you compare it to another fantasy like franchise such as Star Wars, where they've had decades of stories and decades of comics that they then just are like, oh no, this isn't canon
They just
anymore.
retcon
Yeah, they
all
just
the time.
retcon it. It's like, oh, all that fantastic writing and character development. That's didn't really happen because it would interfere with what we plan to do.
Mm.
So yeah, no, that's a breath of fresh air. Outside of Warhammer, man, what else is going on? I don't know.
I mean, it was a super broad question.
Yeah,
Are
no.
there do you remember Helldivers? Is there any
Hmm.
new updates with them? Because the thing that I really liked about Helldivers was the animated videos that you showed me. Like the super motivated ones, like that was I thought
Yeah,
it was actually pretty legit. Like it was pretty cool stuff.
do you think they are working on a movie for that? And
Oh, really?
the rumor is that
Ooh, rumor time.
they want to get as many A-list actors as you can get, like Scarlett Johansson, Chris Pratt, like think of any Marvel movie actor ever, as many of them as possible, kill as many of them as possible as quickly as they can, so that then you can have maybe like B-list actors or C-list actors, hopefully not taking off their helmet too much, but going around and doing just whatever you do. I honestly don't know how they're gonna adapt that into a movie, like with a plot and stuff like that, without being what was the movie? What was the movie that it kind of like takes
Uh,
inspiration from?
Not
Starship
Ender's Game,
Troopers.
Starship Troopers.
Yeah,
Yep.
like they
But that
could
was the book. I loved the book.
the Starship Troopers.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
didn't even know it was a book.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, yeah. It was a book. I actually read it on my second deployment. I was in Mexico, and my one of my Marine captains, he handed me this book, and he was like, "I always bring this with me," and I was like, "Okay," like just super random,
Good luck,
but
son.
really good book. I really enjoyed it.
No, yeah, then yeah, no, the game takes a lot of inspiration from that. So if they make a movie, the only like plot I could kind of imagine is something akin to the Starship Troopers, where they're just like fighting, there's some adversary that they gotta, I don't know, collect like fascism to fight and convince their population it's definitely necessary to like recruit 11-year-olds.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
that was the interesting thing is that like honestly, that kind of reminds me of like, do you remember Ender's Game?
Yes.
It kind of reminds me of that where it's like a human civilization going against like the bugs essentially,
Mhm.
but they go about it two separate ways. These guys with Ender's Game was all like virtual, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how they did it. But then Hellraisers is just like, or Helldivers is just like, nah, just throw
Nah,
bodies
we're
at them.
we're dropping people in. The expectation is they'll die. Hey, if they die, you call in some more. And
It's
it's just like, yeah,
crazy.
yeah, no. I mean, the way they do it kind of like it also kind of takes inspiration from like Halo 3 ODSTs, just like
Yeah.
drop shock troopers dropping in a small number of highly experienced like soldiers or marines. I don't want to be like offensive. But that, yeah, like do a lot of damage. And Helldivers, I mean, it's a lot more satirical. But yeah, I don't know. Like I'm excited for the Helldivers movie. Like hopefully it's really good and hopefully they kill a lot of people that we expect to be in the movie. But yeah, I don't know. Kind of like you saw the like second Suicide Squad that came out.
I did not actually. I
You
saw
did
the
not.
first one.
Okay, that was the
I don't know
worst
if it's
one.
the first one.
Yeah, the one made by James Gunn's like James Gunn makes pretty good movies in my opinion. That the Suicide Squad he made was really good. Slight spoiler because it's relevant. They start the movie off making you think like a bunch of like specific criminals are going to be a part of the movie. Like, here's the team, here's what they're gonna go do.
Oh, and they
Boom,
kill
let's
him
go
off,
do it.
right?
They kill most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kill most of them immediately, and it makes you believe it because they pull in some of the people from the first movie,
Mm-hmm.
like Harley Quinn and Boomer, the
Boomerang.
Australia, yeah,
Yeah.
Boomerang. Yeah, like they pull in a couple known people to convince you that it's all real, and then most of them die. Most of them just completely die, and then the movie's like, okay, here's the actual team.
That's like I mean that's Task Force X for you. Like
Yeah,
they
no,
just sent him in.
yeah, because like right after they do that, like here's the real team. They're like, okay, 3 days before, and then they do the introduction all over again. I think you should definitely watch that movie. It has like John Cena in it, Idris Elba. Uh, I mean, yeah, it still has Harley Quinn. Can't remember her actress's name, but um, yeah, no, it has some great actors in it.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely interested in watching it. Just same thing. It's
On
on
the
my
to-do
list.
list. Yeah.
I'm reminded of like remember when Captain America he like had that list of stuff that he
Yes,
was supposed
I'll
to
put it
watch.
on the
I'll put
list.
it on the list. That's how I feel, dude.
He probably spent the 5 years everyone was dead, like watching up. Like, yeah,
Dude, 100%. But yeah, we watched a movie today. It was really good. I forgot A Wild Robot, The Wild Robot. It's on Peacock. I think we watched it.
okay,
Really, really solid. Yeah, it was like a Pixar movie.
okay.
Or Pixar DreamWorks.
I honestly can tell you, I've
Yeah,
I've never I've never heard of the movie
it's
before.
brand new.
Brand new?
Just came out. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely yeah. I understandably you're in that circle where you are likely to probably see like a new release like that. I hardly ever get on Disney at this point, other than to be like a shill and watch like a Marvel movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they added some other movies to Marvel recently. I can't remember what it was, and my brain is working at optimal levels. I forget what they added, but I'll bring it up, I'm sure, like 4 days from now in the middle of the night. But yeah, no, a Wild Robot. What was that movie about?
So The Wild Robot was basically about a robot who's just like a support robot. Like all it does is, clean, do farming, stuff like that. And its entire job is just support. Well, seven of them ended up crashing out on like some deserted island. And one of them survived, and that's the main character, the wild robot. And basically, it ends up having to survive on this island, and it ends up getting like essentially a goose, looks at it as the goose hatches, and then ends up having to be the goose's mom. And that's the story, is it teaching the goose how to eat, how to fly, and how to swim. And after those three tasks are done, then it tries to go back to the manufacturing because it knows that it's broken.
Okay.
So it like tries to send itself back after like trying to get people to give it a task. And it's just the entire story is it in like the forest dealing with the other animals and stuff like that. And it's very, very good. Specifically, like the parent aspect. It was like it's just a robot doing robot stuff and then like trying to take care of its like child. That is the one thing that made it above its programming. And then like it ended up almost reviving one of the other robots just to talk to it. And she, because it's a mom in this, she was like, "Oh, I've just yeah, like I've got to reprogram myself. I have to take care of my goose, like of the baby." So it was really cool. It was very, very heartfelt. I cried. I teared up. It was
Oh, that's
so
nice.
good. Yeah, it was really, really good. I gave it a 10 out of 10.
Was Becca like so sad she just fell asleep on the couch?
No, Becca was fine.
Okay.
She enjoyed the movie. She fell asleep. We watched Step Brothers after that.
Oh, okay. There
She
we
fell
go.
asleep during Step
There
Brothers.
we go.
Yep. She said she wanted to watch it. Like it's not like I just threw it on. I was like, all right, we're done with all this cartoon shit. Step Brothers. That was not the original goal, but it ended up happening. and she passed out. I sat there, ate some donuts, and watched Step Brothers. I was like, this is winning life right now.
Very, very different film to the one you just
Yes,
described.
100%.
Oh my
Because the
god.
thing is that she said she'd never finished like the whole thing, and I thought that I watched it like once a super long time ago. No, I pretty much remember everything. Like after watching it, I was like, "Yep, this is the same exact movie."
Like I fell asleep again. So
Yep, yep, yep. But no, it was good. Step Brothers is a classic. I feel like. Have you seen Step Brothers?
I have though. I don't remember like certain bits and pieces, but yeah, no, like I don't know. I the movie like they've made a bunch of movies together.
Yeah.
Like when you mention Step Brothers, like the line I immediately think of is like, "Please save my friend from like the invisible fire." I don't know if he
Okay.
says brother or fire. It's what is the movie? It's where
Talladega Nights.
Talladega Nights. Yeah, that
You
like
said
that.
that, I immediately thought of like the NASCAR.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is the line I think of when I think of a film that both of them starred in. Is that like that stupid scene? But yeah, no. My dad likes a lot of those movies. He
Yeah.
showed me a bunch of them, probably when I wasn't old enough to watch them. But
Hell
yeah,
yes.
no. Oh, I haven't seen Step Brothers in so long.
Yeah, man. It's a classic, dude. I rewatched it. It holds up. Have you watched The Office?
I've tried. I can't ever watch a show that goes on very long like that
Mm.
because the comedy just runs dry. Partly because I binge watch it, but I'll just watch a bunch of it and I'll be like, wow, this was really funny. This is a good time. And then I never make it past like season 3 or 4 and I stop. And instead of picking up where I was last, I'll just be like, wow,
Yeah,
I remember
restart.
I remember when the jokes were funny in these earlier seasons, so I'll just rewatch them. Yeah, no.
That's hilarious.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have really been enjoying The Office. I
Nice.
try to give myself, like I said, we talked a little bit about this, but I try to give myself like an hour, and I'm
Yeah,
like, all right, let me
very
sit
very
down.
generous.
Yeah, man, I gotta be generous with my time. This year's different though. This year I am putting more of an emphasis on having fun.
That's good. That's
We
great.
had a hike this morning,
Hmm.
and that was a lot of fun. It was chilly. We were stepping all over ice, and we found like a rodent skeleton on the hike. And so Becca's over there kicking it and like talking about this dead skeleton. And Zoe's like, I don't like that. And I'm like, Zoe, you want to go hunt? Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's such a. Anyways,
Anyone slip?
no, no, we were all
Okay,
cool.
good,
Yeah, yeah.
good.
Oh, you know what? Ella slipped. I put her down.
No.
So she like walked and she fell. Yeah, but she's fine.
Lesson learned. Lesson learned.
Absolutely. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's just, it's fun. It's fun having to play with the time a little bit more than I feel like I should. But
Yeah.
I think this year I'm gonna try to catch up a lot on some more of these. Oh, dude, we started playing Call of Duty.
Which one?
Oh, great question, because I always forget. It's the fourth Black Ops.
So Black Ops 4.
Got
Okay.
it.
Okay. Trying to think. Is it Black Ops 4? That came out kind of recently, didn't it? Like
Yeah,
within
yeah,
a
it's
year
one of the
ago.
newer ones.
Yeah, I was playing it for a little while. I think whoever made some of the maps in that game, they need to be fired. Otherwise, had like a good talking to. Some of those maps, like, granted, maybe I'm just not the player for them, but they're awful. They're actually awful. They make the game worse.
Awful is crazy. I need to know why. Like,
It's
awful
like
is crazy to say.
I look like. Granted, like maps like Shipment back in the day that were so small that you could reasonably kill someone, run around a corner, and see them respawn. Like,
Hmm.
while those maps have definitely like played an impact and like I don't know, like they've a lot of people like those types of maps, those really small maps. I do not. So when Black Ops 4 has like 5 maps like that, it's awful. It's awful. They should not have so many small maps because it you load in, it's just like, okay, this is gonna be a terrible game. This is gonna be a terrible game. So I don't know. Like I was playing it for a little while, but also zombies are just kind of
I'm not huge on zombies.
yeah.
I've never like I tried. Like I had my little phase where like I tried to play more zombies, but I didn't like it. You know what I did like though? Modern Warfare 2 Infected. That was fun.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Like nowadays, back in the day when was a kid that somehow wasted his time even more. Um, I really love zombies. Nowadays, I definitely understand like zombies are a waste of time. But
Like
yeah,
zero benefit.
Modern Warfare 2 Infected, yes.
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
That was fun. Yeah, no, that was fun. Like, I don't know, like yeah, I don't know. Modern Warfare 3 I think also had Infected. I don't remember it being as good though. But that might have just been because Modern Warfare 3 was kind of
Yeah.
uh,
Modern Warfare 2 I think is my favorite one. I really liked the not the missions. What was it called?
Spec Ops.
Yeah, yeah, Spec Ops. Loved it. Like
Oh
the
yeah.
Waves one, loved that. I would just play and I got super like good, but especially when like you use all the tactical gear and you set up the sentries and like you go deep into it.
Mhm.
And then like I'll do one round by myself and I'll set that up and like I'll go crazy and I'll last like 30 plus rounds and then I'll play like with Becca or like someone else and they don't do the same stuff and then you're limited on what resources you can use. And so like we lose like after 10 rounds and I'm just like I'm so much better than this.
Modern Warfare 2 might have been one of the first games I wanted to 100%. I remember needing my older cousin's help to do some of the Spec Op missions.
Did
Like
it
there
kill
was
you? Did it kill
it
you
did.
inside?
It did. That
Yeah,
that's what made me the man I am today. Self-reliant when it comes to gaming.
hell yeah.
Because there were like some of the missions, like I remember that they reused like the log cabin from the campaign where you would have juggernauts just walking towards the house and you had to set up defenses for like 20 of them. And if you didn't have that, you had to like hide in a room, crouch, and hope when they walked in, they didn't just kill you immediately. I needed my cousin's help for that mission. But yes, Spec Ops was amazing. And Modern Warfare 3, again, kind of dropped the ball with those missions. So it was kind of. I remember 100%ing Modern Warfare 3's base game. Then they released paid DLCs that added like another 20 achievements. And I was like, nope, we're done. We're done. I'm
No,
not buying,
none of
I'm
those.
not spending like another $60 to go through another 30 hours of grind to get to 100% a game I already 100%ed. So we're not doing it. But yeah, no.
Fair.
Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1 was really good. That one, I can't remember which came out first, Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops 1. They had to have been side by side. They probably were. I think Black Ops 1 and then Modern Warfare 3 and then Black Ops 2. I don't know. Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1, and Modern Warfare 2, those are all like hand in hand as like, for me, some of the best Call of Duties like ever. And then there's Call of Duty 4, which was pretty good.
Yeah. I haven't played Call of Duty for I mean, I haven't played quite a few of them, but those were the ones that I started on like back in the day, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember I played I played like the World War II one way back when like when it first
World
came
at
out.
War.
Yes. And like the ones around there where like it was on the PlayStation 2 and like you had like the M1 Garand and it's just not doing very
Oh.
solid. Like that was what I started on. And I fell in love with Call of Duty at that time frame. And I really enjoyed the gameplay. And the first person shooter was really cool at the time. I remember like Call of Duty always had a very unique shooting style.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so prevalent that other video games took their shooting style, which is like really cool. Like they essentially like control the generation of like how the people control the buttons and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like I remember games of the time they you could select like the custom like button
Control scheme.
outlay. Yeah, exactly. And like people would refer to it as like a Call of Duty one, like
Mm-hmm.
in another person's game. I thought that was hilarious.
I think the one that I think bumper jumper was what some people would use because it would allow you think because normally like I don't know, normally in the game, like you had to hit A to jump, or you had to
Mhm.
hit like you had to click down the stick to do something. But because you would do that, you would be taking your thumb away from being able to do any of the other four things on the controller.
Yeah.
So bumper jumper allowed you to do like two of those key things. I never played with bumper jumper, but it was my understanding, yes, like the Call of Duty control scheme and stuff like that. Like, yeah, like no, I 100% know what you're talking about. With World at War, you mentioning that just gave me like flashbacks to like the main menu music and the music you would hear when sitting in zombies. I would go back and play zombies from World at War. Like World at War, I got into that game too late. By the
Yeah.
time I got in, multiplayer was infested with like either max level people or cheaters, and but zombies was still like perfect. Um, And the campaign back then, you could do 4-player campaign,
Yeah.
and the campaign was like actually really good. So it was just like, and they fell off. They fell off by making other really great games. Didn't really follow that kind of design.
The campaign focus
Yeah, no.
wasn't there anymore. Like it became the afterthought.
Yeah, it like don't get me wrong, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2 are probably universally considered some of the best campaigns, along with Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2. Um, but it like, yeah, going from like 4-player co-op, sometimes where you could compete for score and performance based and stuff like that, to then going to single player with the multiplayer being the main focus. Not to shit on the multiplayer. Multiplayer was really good, and Spec Ops was really good, and the campaign was really good. But yeah, to have like have the focus switch like that, yeah, no, I'm kind of glad I wasn't older back then, because then I probably would have been a little upset.
All right, I have a totally subjective question for you that
Okay,
I want your input on.
okay.
Why do you think Call of Duty did so much better than Battlefield?
If I had to take a guess, it's because Battlefield is bad, but also, uh,
That's a crazy.
like I don't know, like Call of Duty, while campaign would often feel like, while it would often feel like an afterthought, it did like it still felt like they were putting in effort.
Mm.
The like the first Battlefield I ever played, admittedly, was 3.
I've heard that was one of the best.
Yeah, and like multiplayer wise, yeah, it was fun multiplayer wise.
Yeah, I was saying
Campaign, I'm just
multiplayer
like,
is the thing that everyone told me about.
campaigns in Battlefield actually are an afterthought. Like, granted, they put in effort, but like when like I remember trying to play like the not Black Ops, Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 campaigns, and it's just like, why am I doing this? I'm gonna unlock some stuff in multiplayer, and that's cool, but like compared to like Call of Duty, you don't have like notable characters with like invested like they're not like investing me in the campaign. Like it's
Mm,
just it's a couple dudes doing some stuff. I'm doing that. We're winning. Probably we're taking down some unnamed enemy that's from a different country, and definitely not Korea, the northern ones. Anyways,
yeah,
I don't know. I yeah no with Battlefield, I don't know. Like their campaigns really just felt like an afterthought. Maybe it was because the multiplayer was that good that campaign just was outshined, but I don't know. Like at certain points, like multiplayer would also feel awful with how they would have the combat be projectile based instead of hit scan. Though that was really cool because you got back then
I don't,
montages.
I don't know what that means.
So like
You got to
for
dumb that down for
yeah,
me, big dog.
so so similar vein but different genre, different game series. Halo.
Mhm.
Back when like Halo 1 was a thing, I believe that was hit scan, which means that when you shoot the gun, if the person is in the reticle, they get hit immediately. There is no bullet travel.
Oh, okay.
And in Halo 2, if I remember correctly, it was also hit scan, where you could, like on PC anyway, the game would often, like, at least depending on how good the players were, the game would devolve into people shooting each other across like a really far distance with guns that weren't really designed to do that. But because it's hit scan, you could, like, you just needed to have them in your scope and you could get them.
Okay.
Halo 3, they changed it to projectile, which meant the farther distance you had to go, you kind of had to lead your shots. And that's where I think Battlefield, like, kind of carved, like, a part of the, like, gaming community. Like, it managed to find, like, a foothold there. It's because in Call of Duty, it's all hit scan. You shoot the guy, he's getting shot. Like, there isn't really, like, any length of time passing between you shooting and him getting hit.
Gotcha.
In Battlefield, you have like you could go back like on YouTube. There are so many videos of people sitting up on like a really high building or just sitting out really far back and sniping somebody, and they have to lead their shot really really hard. It's like 900 yards away. You got to like aim all the way up there and shoot, and like it's filled with montages of that where I think people really liked it being projectile based because it felt a little bit more realistic. And for people who wanted to snipe or people who wanted to drive vehicles and shoot I don't know, however they wanted to play projectile, the design of like the projectile system versus hit scan, uh, I guess gave people more realism. It felt way more satisfying in Battlefield to shoot someone from 1,000 meters away than it did in Call of Duty. Partly because Call of Duty never gave you maps that big, which again, another reason why Battlefield was great. You could have like 32v32 people.
Really?
Like, yeah, you could have like
That's crazy.
really big lobbies. Maybe not in Battlefield 3, but in Battlefield 4, if I remember, some lobbies could get that big.
Mm.
Uh,
How would you even set that up? Like, what would the 33 versus 33 or some shit like that?
yeah,
Like, that's crazy.
like it definitely like Battlefield definitely suffered a little bit connection wise from having like really big lobbies like that. But yeah, no, like they give you really big maps. They give you really large like server size for the players, and then they give you a bunch of vehicles, and they generally like the game focused around controlling zones or otherwise just like team deathmatch. But yeah, no, I like where Call of Duty excelled having like smaller maps,
Mm.
smaller teams, and really like fast run and gun like gameplay. Battlefield was like gave you the sense of like you're a part of an army. You're part of like
Mm.
a battalion. You're like pushing, you're getting vehicles, controlling zones, you're winning in the air combat. Your jet pilots are better than the other ones. I don't know. Like they instead of just being a shooter, they I think managed to do really well because they incorporated vehicles and like really large maps. Um, I can definitely say because I prefer the sniping playstyle. It is really satisfying to see someone really far away, preferably someone not moving, and in order to figure out if you weren't already like if you didn't already have that game sense down of about how far you needed to lead your shot, you would find a target, something like about an equal distance away, and you would start like shooting to get a feel for the bullet arc so that then you could return to shooting him and actually kill him and not just like shoot the dirt next to him and make him run away. So I don't know. Like, yeah, no. I think your original question was why was Battlefield so great? Or what
Why
was your
Call of
original
Duty
question?
won? Like, why does Call of Duty win? Because, like,
Why does it win?
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, like, for example, like Rainbow Six Siege,
Mm-hmm.
SOCOM, Ghost Recall,
Mm-hmm.
like all of these franchise or not franchise, but whatever. Like all
Yeah.
of these companies and these games, like they're good games and like they're quality and they've made quite a few. But like, I feel like when it comes to first person shooter, military style, Call of Duty is the king. Like, am I wrong in that assessment?
In terms of player base, I don't think you're wrong at all. I think partly like with Battlefield, there's kind of there isn't instant satisfaction. Like in Battlefield, for example, when you start the game, depending on if you get in a vehicle or not, like you probably won't see an enemy player for like a full minute before like you're actually getting to the objectives and stuff like that. Like it's a slower game
Hmm.
and there isn't as much like satisfaction in as quick a window because you're playing like the long game. Because those games also would last like an hour sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, those games like depending on like the zones, like you would have to get 1,000 points. Like there would be 1,000 points and there maybe be like 5 zones. For every like I think 3 to 5 seconds, I think you get a point maybe. And I think you would get points based on kills as well, but it also had everything to do with how many zones you had. Call of Duty, it's like quick 10, 15 minute, not even 15, 10-minute matches. You run and gun. If you run around the corner and someone shoots you, man, maybe you get a little frustrated, but you
You
immediately
get right back
respawn
into it.
and you
Yep.
get right back into it and you start getting kills and you're like, "Oh my god, I'm feeling great." You die. Oh man, you get right back into it. Like it in terms of like hitting the dopamine, like Call of Duty really does that cuz it's just like really fast paced. It's kind of I don't know. It's yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's like very satisfying. Like that's kind of why I stopped playing Black Ops 4 cuz while I really hate small maps, I hate them for kind of that reason because it just turns into like a grind. You just
Yeah.
like you're either running around killing a bunch of people and it like feels great, but then you have to deal with the fact that a bunch of people are respawning and you can't realistically like keep it going unless you're a really good player, which in Call of Duty I'm not. Or you can go up against other really good players and learn what respawning like 20 times feels like, because it just like I don't know. It's like uh, Call of Duty at this point. It's the younger man's game. I'm too old. I'm too old to be into it.
I get that. That's a real thing though. Like age really does play a factor on what games you play.
Hmm.
Like I remember when I was younger, like that was I don't know, like you just don't realize it until you see it and then like you kind of outgrow certain things. Like where are you on Minecraft, Roblox, like where are you at on those?
I hate Roblox. I've never really played it. I hate it mainly because Roblox is this terrible looking Lego game. You can do so many things in it. People make mini games out of everything. Attack on Titans, one of the most popular anime to ever come out in 2013. You can play this little shitty mini game that people made that looks and feels terrible. But you can feel like one of the people in the show. So it's like it gets that satisfaction. It's just like people make like slot machine games in there just to like get the satisfaction. People like when you think of a game like Cookie Clicker, there's like 1,000 games, 1,000 mini games in Roblox that essentially are just Cookie Clicker. And then you find out people enjoy playing those, and it's like, no, this is terrible. Minecraft, that's a good game.
Ooh,
That's a
okay.
good game.
Gotcha.
I remember when I initially started playing in middle school, I didn't have an account because I didn't understand what that meant. So I would just get on the website and play like the creative free edition, and then every single time I had to log off, I'd have to restart because I'd be logging into a temporary account. And then eventually I convinced my parents to let me get Minecraft after promising them that it isn't a scam to buy Minecraft online, because back then they thought like if especially if I was bringing it up, it's like this is probably a scam. You're going to lose money, you're not going to actually get a game, and it's going to be bad. So that was
It's
an uphill
crazy that
battle.
used to be a thing back then, right?
Yeah,
Like
I
that
mean,
like people really didn't believe the internet could just give you something
yeah, no.
and it be yours.
Yeah, no, it was definitely painful back then. I don't know. Nowadays, I feel like my parents are much like they don't get scammed at all, but I feel like they are more likely to now. I feel like they've lowered their guard. They've gotten
Yeah.
so much more familiar with the internet that I just like, yeah, I don't know. It feels like they do that. I
Yeah.
get a lot of scam like message spams on my phone,
Yeah.
and I'm like 99% sure my dad is doing something, whether it's using my phone number for this stuff, I don't know,
That's
but
hilarious.
I'm pretty sure my dad is doing something to cause me to get like Republican messages like Donald Trump needs your help
That's hilarious.
to win this battle. And it's like, I don't give a
Nah,
fuck.
it's Dorian, big dog.
Dude,
Dorian
no,
set you
unless
up.
Dorian's been setting me up for like 5 years at this point. No,
Dude,
dude.
that's so funny.
I it's like why? It's I don't know. I don't know. But no, Dorian at work, like last time I talked to him about it, he's like, we're cooked. Like, I don't know what happened because honestly, I don't need to like keep up with new stuff to know that to think that Trump is going to be an awful president. But like, I come in and Dorian's like, yeah, no, the things are not going great. I'm like, what? Like, what new information have you learned that like suddenly this is a bad idea? Like, Trump's not like change it. Like everything he said he was going to do, he's doing.
Mm,
Like I think recently he's trying to make it so that people born in the US don't get citizenship.
mm.
I think he's aiming to get rid of
Yeah,
that.
I heard that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I I'm not going to speak to like the validity of like two people who aren't citizens coming here, having a kid and then being a citizen. I mean, fuck it. Okay.
Yeah.
But
I think what you're referring to is that if you're an illegal immigrant
mhm.
and you come to the States, if
Mhm.
you have a kid, that child is still is still an illegal immigrant as well. That's the thing, is
I think that's what he
originally,
wants.
yes, correct. Because
Yeah.
originally, if you're born here, that's it, you're ours.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I
So,
mean like that's a little weird because the parents wouldn't be made citizens by de
correct. And
facto.
that's where, like, back, like, they would say that you would take people away from their family.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, it's definitely weird. I
I
get
mean,
it.
yeah, but I don't know. I don't know.
I got you. Yeah, I mean, yeah. As far as the game side, there
Yes.
are a lot. Like, there's a lot I imagine when it comes like first person shooters and stuff like that, do you feel like there's any niches or like any stories that are oversaturated when it comes to games? Like do we have enough originality? Like, oh, dude, Marvel Rivals. What is up?
I've been playing that a lot recently.
Have you?
I
Okay. So what is up with that game, dude? That's all you guys talk about. Like, I mean, like that is a big chunk now.
so Marvel Rivals. So okay. So like for the last 10-ish years, games in that genre, Overwatch I don't think was the first. I think that came out in 2017 to be fair. I might be thinking a little too far back. Overwatch came out in like 2017, I think. I don't think it was the first game of its genre to be like a hero shooter. Like I think TF2 is probably the closest you come to going back. It's just you play characters, you play objectives.
Team Fortress 2?
Team Fortress 2.
Dude, I remember that game.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah, I remember
I
that.
remember playing it a while back, and I was like, this game looks like shit. But yeah, when Overwatch came out, it did a decent job of like grabbing that market. There are people who still stick to Team Fortress. They live by it, and I don't know why those people
Yeah,
are like that. Yeah, like
that's
one.
interesting. I
Yeah,
I imagine Team Fortress is done. Like I have not
mm.
heard anything about it.
I mean it like on the game side of things, I think it is done.
Mm,
But I have a friend named Matt who like lives by that game still.
yeah,
And it's like it's not like he doesn't like he's played Marvel Rivals I think recently, and he played Overwatch a little bit, but
that's still
like
his game.
yeah, Team Fortress 2 like he still that game is still held in his heart. But yeah, no, Marvel Rivals, the problem is recently there were a lot of other games that came out like Battleborn. I remember playing that game doesn't deserve any more like talk outside of the name. Like it was not that good. It came out, it was fun, and then the very first like DLC character they released was broken and just made the games worse. And if you
Yeah,
didn't pay for it, just expect a worse experience.
got it.
Um,
Good to know. I
yeah,
will keep that
yeah. Just
added to the list as a not to play.
never even learn what Battleborn is.
Got it. Got it.
But with Overwatch 2, because of like the kind of like downward slope they've been going on recently, Marvel Rivals just is eating up a lot of the interest in those types of games.
I got you. And I
Mhm.
think that when we talked about this, didn't we discuss that the power structure, like the structure of the team setup,
Yes.
like that's gonna really play. Like you're curious about the way that people are kind of figuring out what works well together, what doesn't, and the way that they have the lobby set up.
Mhm.
Like, give me a little more info on that because I know we talked about it previously, but
So a big dispute in Overwatch 2 right now is the idea that there's only one tank. It used to be two tanks, two damage characters, and two healers. But due to the player base not really playing tank because tank takes a lot of responsibility, you're the person who's supposed to make a lot of pressure, make a lot of space for your team, and if you're losing, generally the people who get blamed are the tanks because a bad tank can ruin the game, a bad damage, you can kind of just carry them. They're not as useful. But because of the lack of people playing tank, they made a switch in Overwatch 2, among other problems. They made it so that there was only one tank, which changed the meta and it changed like a lot of people's interests. Like me and Avant used to play like we used to be a tank duo, and then we were forced to choose one of us is going to be the tank usually, and someone else is going to damage. Marvel Rivals, uh, at least right now, is starting off a lot like how Overwatch did, where it's 6v6. It is up to the players on the team to decide what kind of team comp they want. So if you choose a terrible team comp, it's on your team, or it's at least
Mm.
on the people who don't take responsibility. Because like right now when I'm playing Marvel Rivals 2-2-2, that's generally like the best thing. Right now, healers are really strong in the game.
2-2-2, so like two
Two
tanks,
tanks,
two
two DPS,
DPS.
two healers.
Got it.
I generally try to stick to that structure. But right now, a really strong like team composition right now is three healers because healers are really strong in the game. Marvel Rivals did do okay. Marvel Rivals is doing three things that I think are really good. One, it's Marvel. So there's going to be a lot of people who really like the Marvel IP, really like Marvel comic books. that get to play as these characters and generally like play a hero shooter with these characters. Reason number two, the team comp. You can choose whatever you want. You can go 6 tanks. Not really gonna work unless the enemy team's like brain dead, but you can do that, and it's a lot more player responsibility than the game forcing you into a certain composition. And the third reason I'm starting to forget right now, and I don't like that. What was the third reason? Oh boy, I walked away from it. Um, hmm. Oh man. Yeah, okay. We definitely got to schedule these. It's entirely my fault that we're having this now at the current time.
Oh, you're good. You
Um,
wanted to have this conversation at 1 a.m. No,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
good,
yeah.
big dog.
I thought my
This is the
brain I
time.
thought my brain would be good.
This is it.
Oh, what's the other reason? It's team comp. It's the characters, the IPs. I think the other reason. Oh, sorry, the team ups. So something they added to the game that Overwatch never really had, and it's kind of interesting, is when you have select characters on your team, it will often activate a team up, which gives the people playing those characters new abilities generally that they don't otherwise have.
Hmm,
So while it doesn't force certain team compositions, it encourages you to play certain characters with each other to get like additional bonuses.
Gotcha.
I think that's really cool because whereas in a game like Overwatch, you could just choose whatever, and based on like their ultimate abilities, maybe you choose certain characters with others that have like decent synergy. Um, in Marvel Rivals, it encourages it by giving you characters that are generally kind of strong, and then in certain circumstances making them really strong if your team chooses to work together. So in that aspect, it gives player choice, but also gives you a really good reason to still put yourself in a box.
Okay.
Um, Now that being said, um, people are stupid, and gamers are not like an exception to that. I've been playing Jeff. Jeff is a land shark that walks around on all fours and swims under the ground and heals by just spewing water and like hawk tours like water to damage people. Like, and his ult is literally he goes underwater, swallows up a bunch of people, and then he can spit them out. Oftentimes, preferably, spit them off the map to insta kill them. He is considered one of the worst healers in the game. I think that's bullshit. I think my man Jeff is really good, and I think people are just like again like they see a team up and they're like, oh my god, this team up's great. Team ups are great. They're like the 3-man healer composition. It exists for a reason because you can get some really disgusting team ups, and healers are really busted in the game right now. Um, but Marvel Rivals, similar to like when Overwatch came out, people don't know how to play. Like people don't know how to play the game optimally. I still think the game is way too early.
Yeah.
Like a dive composition, for example, of usually composing of like a team that chooses characters that are really good at just getting in really quickly and doing damage. Like in Overwatch 1 took like a year, 2 years for people to realize the effectiveness of dive characters. With Marvel Rivals coming out way after the fact, people kind of understand like how good they are, but I've still yet to see teams that will be primarily dive. Because you don't go, when you play a game like that, you don't go half dive. Characters generally, like dive characters are generally really good with other dive characters. Because if you dive in and just do a little bit of damage, you're going to get nothing. You're going to be forced to get out. And then probably your team dies because you just went in and kind of did nothing. If you have 3 people dive in all at once, maybe they kill someone. And then if they have to get out, now they're up 1 person and now they can play the game however they want because they're already at an advantage. Um, but yeah, Marvel Rivals. Yeah, I think Nick plays it. I think Alec plays it. I play it. My brother plays it. A bunch of people play it. Tyler recently started playing it. We recently started playing ranked, which has been kind of fun. I've been kind of smurfing, but it's still really fun. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like Marvel Rivals, like is taking advantage of just a lot of people enjoying Marvel movies, even though it is on a downward swing, like everybody says. Uh, it's taking advantage of people who really like that IP. It's involving a lot of like like a lot of the alternative skins that you can spend $20 for are oftentimes like comic book skins. Like for example, like Mr. Fantastic. There's like a comic book line where I think he's a villain called the Maker.
Oh yeah.
When he originally came out, like that was his first skin, is the
Hmm.
Maker. So it's like them bringing in like
Legit comic
legitimate like
references. Yeah.
skins and stuff like that. Like I don't know, it's really cool in that aspect. The only thing that really sucks about it is it's a Chinese game. It's made by a
Oh,
Chinese company, which means how much can you trust your information to be safe, especially when the game demands that you have a
interesting.
kernel level anti cheat that starts up when your computer boots up? Like, it's not great. Like, unless you
Hmm.
actively do a workaround, you're kind of leaving the responsibility of the safety of your computer network up to people who made a superhero video.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that like that was even like a thought.
Yeah,
I
no.
kind of like that you like that that's a concern of yours.
Well, like, it's a concern in the sense that like if it happens, I'm gonna be like, man, why did I ever play that game? It like because if it ever bites me in the ass, it's gonna suck. Kernel level anti cheat, from my point of view, it is like the lazy man's solution. It works really, really well, but you essentially are just compromising everything for it. Like instead of
Hmm.
designing an anti cheat that can have workarounds and people do work around, you're instead telling everybody they have to install a system that launches at the very beginning of your computer boot up, which means there's very few things that launch before it. So if that kernel system gets like exposed or otherwise like tampered with, whatever launches with that kernel system will essentially not be detected by the like whatever computer like security you have after that. So if they find a backdoor through that kernel system, you're cooked, and it's not great. So the kernel system is just like really lazy because it just compromises most, if not all, of your system security, so that they don't have to design a really in-depth uh like anti-cheat,
Hmm.
and it's really lazy. So that's
Gotcha.
probably the biggest downside of the game. Don't download the game because the thing is too is oftentimes because of the way it starts up, if you download a game with kernel level anti cheat for the first time, usually it tells you to restart your system. I noticed because I don't really pay attention to these things. I uninstalled a game with kernel level anti cheat. When I reinstalled it, it didn't make me restart my computer, which made me realize the kernel level anti cheat I don't think ever went away. Like I would have to manually get rid of it. So installing the game with kernel level anti-cheat and then getting rid of the game, you're gonna probably still have that kernel level anti-cheat on your system,
Mm.
which means if it ever runs into any problems, you might be cooked, and that's not great. No, but Marvel Rivals is doing really well right now, and hopefully they start nerfing characters because if not, the game's gonna feel like
Gotcha. So right now,
Mhm.
is it worth picking up?
On console, yes. On
Okay.
PC, just for the kernel level anti-cheat, if that's a big concern of yours, I wouldn't. Or at the very least, if you do, like, do it on a computer that you don't really have personal information on. Um, there's like a couple like there's like one way you can get by it. I think you have to use like I think it's like a Linux system or something like that. You have to essentially start a virtual computer on your computer.
Oh, okay.
Um, and then download the game on the virtual computer so that when the kernel level anti cheat gets installed, it's installed on your virtual computer and essentially has like no backdoor into your actual system.
Hmm.
Outside of doing that, you're just maybe it's a really, really small risk. Yeah, but like I don't think if it ever bites you in the ass, which I've heard like some Chinese companies get hacked. Everyone gets hacked. Sony, especially like when Sony had all its problems like way back in the day. If it's a concern, don't do it. But it is a really fun game. Um, I don't know if it would be your game.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. I am curious a little bit about the actual gameplay itself,
Hmm.
but I think we'll wait for next time around.
Yeah.
This is fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let's do it again. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, man.